But the new landlords like the Ball family, who established the town of Crossmaglen, the Hamiltons of Newton Hamilton, the Jones family of Jonesborough, and the Grubb Richardsons of Bessbrook, began to change the topography of the countryside. New settlements were established, and landlords built some substantial houses on their lands. Johnson of the Fuse spent his energy in trying to subdue the natives and in bringing in Scottish settlers during the 18th century to farm the previously unprofitable acres around Newtown Hamilton and Tullyvallen, which is still known by the old people as the Scotch country.
Woods were cut down, land was cleared of brush, and lime was introduced. The older Clachan settlements, Clachan from the Irish, a cluster of dwellings, were largely destroyed, and the linear or ladder farms which we see today were forced upon a reluctant populace, both native and settler. A growing population forced tenants onto the higher slopes. The Ring of Gullion had, by the latter decades of the 18th century, a large number of people engaged in the cottage linen industry. The competition for land and further attempts, especially in the Forkhill area, to introduce new settlers, led to violent conflicts in the 1780s and 1790s. A barracks was built in Mullaghbane in 1795 to give the government more control, and the uniting of Presbyterians and Catholic defenders in the years leading up to the 1798 rebellion caused more problems for the authorities.
The period leading up to the famine was one of agrarian conflict, and the ribbon societies clashed continually with the agents of the landlords over rents, evictions, and straightening of ditches on the estates. The famine itself was disastrous for the small tenant farmers and labourers. By January 1847, it was reported that the dense population and the lamentable destitution had led to a state of crisis in the baronies of Warrior and the Fuse. Relief committees in the various districts saw excellent cooperation between Catholic, Protestant and Dissenter, but the landlords, who were by this period mainly absentee, contributed virtually nothing.
The outstanding figures who came out of this period with credit were the Reverend Daniel Gunn Brown, Presbyterian minister of Newton Hamilton, who described the landlords of South Armagh as exterminators, the Reverend Dr. Atkinson, rector of Cregan Parish, and the Reverend Michael Lennon, parish priest of Upper Cregan Parish. The aftermath of the famine in the south of the County Armagh saw more agrarian violence, suppression, and a declining population. The rise of Fenianism had its effect in the Crossmaglen conspiracy. The land war and the Home Rule campaign all left their mark. The new century brought an awakening of national feeling. The War of Independence saw engagements between the 4th Northern Division of the IRA under Frank Aiken of Camla and the British forces throughout South Armagh and North Louth.
Michael Collins was elected as Member of Parliament, and the Civil War was fought out on the border between the Free State forces in Dundalk and the Republicans of South Armagh. Partition cut part of the region away from its natural town of Dundalk. Custom posts were erected on the main roads to Newry and Armagh, and the lesser roads were labelled unapproved.
dissension about partition often centred on South Armagh, and violence was commonplace for several decades in the 20th century. From being a borderland and an inaccessible area of refuge from both north and south, South Armagh is becoming a fashionable tourist region. Tí Chulainn is part of the physical and cultural embodiment of this change.